Okay, so we're going to get started today. So everything today is all about fast food, eating out. We live in a society where we eat out a lot, right? So today I'm going to equip you with tools so that you know how to eat out healthy, or at least healthier. The point of today is not to hammer in your heads of like, never ever eat out. It's a terrible thing. We'll go over stats that talk about money saved when you eat in, and we'll talk about stats of calories and fat of eating in, just to kind of help give you the whole perspective. But we're not going to leave you with that. We're going to actually give you the tools to make good decisions with this. And you have a sheet in front of you too, just for some stats to fill out throughout it. I have the answer sheet up here though, so if you don't get them, you can just copy off of mine at the end, because this isn't actually school. But when I was making the sheet, I was like, man, I was one of those weird students in school where like, I loved fill-in-the-blank handouts during presentations. I just like, loved it. I was like, oh, yes. When they just gave you the PowerPoint, I was like, no, this is boring. So anyways, I was a little bit of a nerd in school. I'm sure you can't imagine that. So, we are going to start off with some stats, so I want you guys to guess as we're going. One out of how many Americans eats fast food every day? So this specific section is just about fast food right now. So this is not like eating out, this is fast food. One out of how many do you think?
2.
1 out of 2?
1 out of 3.
We're almost there, 4. 1 out of 4 eats fast food every single day. So 25% is eating fast food. Now, when we think about fast food, like that's not even saying 1 out of 4 eats out every day. That number is even higher. This is just fast food. How many items on the McDonald's menu do not contain sugar?
2.
More than 2. Close to 5. It's 7. 7 do not contain sugar, which I'm kind of like, do they count Diet Pepsi and then Diet Dr. Pepper? How did they get that number? Okay, in 2012, what % of Americans believed that doing their taxes was easier than figuring out how to eat healthy? So who thought that, how many people, what percentage of people thought doing taxes, like, yeah, that's way easier to figure out than how to eat healthy?
50%.
You are almost right on the money, 52%. So about half would say, oh, I'd rather do my taxes than eat healthy. Me, I'm like, taxes, I'm like, like, can't figure that out. Okay, so Americans consume what percentage more of packaged food than fresh food? So in comparison,
7.
and this number seems a little bit weird because it's 30%, which means that it's kind of would be like 130% because of the fresh food, they eat 30% more. So the number seems low, but it's actually high because of how the percentage is. And then, second to last one, what percent of all American meals are eaten in the car? You are right on it, 20%. So 1 out of every 5 meals, basically, if we count 3 meals in a day, is eaten in the car. And you think about, I mean, how many times do you pass somebody on the road and you see them eating a hamburger, eating whatever in the car, which is kind of scary, especially when we are all about texting and driving and that type of thing. I'm like, well, eating is even more distracting in my opinion. And then this number varies quite a bit from source to source, and I've seen them that are a lot higher. This is definitely on the conservative end. So of disposable income, and that's the key here, what percentage do Americans spend on fast food every year? I'll tell you, it's 10%, but that's of disposable income and on fast food. So again, that number can be a little bit misleading. So this is not to make you feel bad at all, okay? How often would you say you eat fast food per week? Maybe 1 to 3 times? No. You don't? Yeah. Fast food is a lot different than saying if we eat out, and we'll talk about casual dining here in a little bit. But there's 2 different graphs here from 2 different sources, but you can see 44% go once per week, which is pretty common. A lot of people will eat fast food 1 or 2 times a week when we're just talking about fast food. And also, as you can expect, men go more often than women. Not too surprising, but very few people actually go never. Okay, so now we're transitioning a little bit into eating out versus just fast food. So this is in general eating out. So in 2011, so 5 years ago now, so I imagine the number is definitely higher by now, the survey found that the average adult eats out 4.8 meals per week. So about 5 times in a week, which when you think about it, a lot of people go out for lunch, for sure. That would be 5 times a week, or a lot of people might eat in all throughout the week, but then on the weekends they eat out. So maybe they eat out Friday night, well, probably Friday lunch, Friday night, once or twice on Saturday, and then once on Sunday. You know, and you can see how that adds up, and that's the average here. Not surprising, the most popular restaurant meal is lunch, because a lot of people go out for that. And then as you can see, brunch and breakfast is the least type of place. Sit-down dinners is also quite a bit less. I used to work with a gal. I was in college at the time when I was working with her, and she was a director. She was a full-time person in this company. She made at that point between like $30,000 and $35,000 a year, and it was like January or February, and we were talking, and she was like, yeah, my husband and I, we use this Chase credit card, and at the end of the year, they give you a printout statistic of what you've spent all of your money on that year. And she was like, it was really eye-opening, because in the previous calendar year, we spent $30,000 on eating out during that year. And at that time, she had a like 8-month-old at home. And she was like, honestly, that's how much I make in a year. Like, I could just not eat out, and I could stay home, and it probably would end up saving money in the long run. And it's so mind-blowing how quickly that goes up. And I know that she's not I know she's not an outlier. There's lots of people who spend that much money on eating out. But that really blew me away, because I'm in college and I'm like, oh my gosh, $30,000, that's so much money. It still is, but especially when you're in college, it really throws you for a loop. But I don't know, if I was Chase credit card, I don't know if I would send out those statistics, because that might make people spend less a little bit. Okay, so this is not surprising at all, but this shows how the frequency of eating out is rising through the years. Really not surprising at all. So 45 years ago, 26% of all food spending was on restaurants. So if you consider all food spending of restaurants and groceries and that type of thing, about 1/4 of it was on restaurants. 4 years ago now, almost 5 years ago, 43%. So it's almost doubled in that amount of time. And then in 2015, for the first time, Americans spent more money in restaurants and bars than in grocery stores. When you throw bars in, that kind of makes sense, because obviously alcohol costs a little bit more, but that was the first time ever that the restaurants and bars was a higher number than it was in grocery stores. So why do you guys think that is? Why do you think that we're seeing an increasing rise of eating out more often?
Everyone's in a hurry.
Yep, really busy, really busy. Absolutely, that's a huge one. I got a decent list up here. So for one, like back in 1970, not a lot of women would have been employed outside the home. It wouldn't have been quite as common, and so you would eat more meals at home. Also along those lines, 2 in our household, so there's more money coming in, so then usually more money is spent as well. Making higher incomes, again, so you have that availability to spend more money, more affordable, more convenient. Advertisements, that's huge. That's so huge. There was a time where I just got done teaching a boot camp class, and I was driving home, and I saw a billboard for a restaurant, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to eat there tonight. And I had just worked out, I'm like, this is stupid. But advertisements are huge, they just get inside of your head, and with social media, we see those all the time, Smaller size households, people are generally having fewer kids than they were. So when you go out to eat, it costs a lot less. You know, if you're going out with 2 kids, it costs a lot less than if you have 5 kids, like my husband's family. Busier people, like we talked about, in the millennial generation, you know, Hannah's and mine generation, we are very social people, and we let's get together. Like just earlier this week, Hannah and I were like, let's go out and get coffee together. Or, you know, I go and get breakfast with one of my friends every month, and you know, that's how we get together. We do it over coffee, over lunch, over drinks, whatever. And that's one thing that also increases that number. So looking at money, so this says the typical American, this is on fast food, mind you, okay, this section is, spends about $1,200 annually, $100 per month, $12.50 per meal. The thing about fast food is a lot of times we think that it's cheap. We think, oh, eating fast food is super cheap. But what's interesting is that the people who make more money eat fast food more often than people who make less money. So it's like, well, if that actually was cheap, then that probably wouldn't be the case. So over here we said average meal $12.50. Now this is that home cooked meals, about $4,000 per year and $30 per month. You know, your costs per meal vary quite a bit. You know, you could, you know, there's meals on Facebook or on Pinterest that say, oh, this is $1.50 per meal type of thing, and then there's, you know, you could make a meal at home that costs you $15 per meal. So that varies quite a bit, but we have the average home cooked meals range from $4 to $9 per plate, which is probably on a little bit of the higher side, but we'll be conservative here, which is going to be really telling. In our next slide, we will compare that even more. So we're going to look at the cost savings of eating out versus eating in. So we are doing an average of eating out costs $12.50 per meal, and an average of eating in is $6.50 per meal. Okay, so I think the $6.50 at home is probably on a little bit of the high side, but that's okay. You'll still see some pretty good cost savings here. So the graph shows how much money you would spend. So the green is eating at home, and the yellow or orange is eating out. So for an individual per meal, $6.50 per meal, $12.50 eating out. Family of 4, $10.50 and $50. So this shows how much money you would save by eating in versus eating out. Individual $6 per meal, a family of 4, $40 per meal. Then if you put that into a month perspective, which makes it a little bit more real, then per month an individual would save $180 and a family of 4 would save $720. And then if we look at it per year, an individual would save almost $2,200 and a family of 4 $8,800. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. I know, you know, as we're like looking at budgets and, you know, daycare and all of that, that money goes a long ways. I don't know how many diapers that buys, but I'm going to assume it would buy quite a bit. So just to give you a little bit of a perspective on things here. Then if we look at calories, to me this is also a very huge thing. Number 1, it's about your health, but number 2, your health also correlates into money spent. You know, sometimes people make the argument of like, well, I'm not going to buy fresh fruits and vegetables because it's too expensive, and it's just cheaper to buy, you know, Totino's pizza or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, your grocery bill will be less if you buy those types of food, but let's fast forward 40 years or maybe not even that long down the road. What is your health cost, your Medicare, you know, what is that going to cost like down the road if you treat your body like that? So I also think there's monetary value attached in here. So the average meal of a sit-down restaurant, a chain restaurant, 1,128 calories per meal. Yep, that's on your sheet. So the average meal at a restaurant, 1,128. I know earlier this year I sent out an email with the Wellness Wednesday. I was just looking back at it, and it was like best and worst restaurant salads. And some of those salads are like 1,600 calories when you're eating out. You know, we think, oh, salad's really healthy, and a lot of times they're not. You know, I love Applebee's, and I'm a total menu freak, and I always go on beforehand, and I'm like looking at the menu, and I'm like, legitimately, there's like 3 things I actually could order and feel decent about myself afterward, or I just like eat, you know, half of it or whatever. But 1,128, that's definitely right on par, which is 56% of the average 2,000 caloric intake. You know, if you eat out that one meal and that stays right at the average, that doesn't leave you a whole lot for the rest of the day. Then the average fast food meal delivers 881 calories, so generally a little bit less with fast food, and that we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but a lot of that has to do with portion sizes. However, that fast food meal has 151% of your daily sodium intake. That's a lot. Your daily sodium intake is 2,300 milligrams for the average person, 1,800 if you have, if you're limited by it, and 2,300 is already on the high side. So we're talking like, you know, 3,500 of your milligrams of sodium in that one meal, which is scary. You're gonna feel pretty dehydrated after that, and your rings aren't gonna fit. 89% of the daily fat and 60% of your daily cholesterol. So basically, fast food, you get all of your sodium, fat, cholesterol for that day and quite a bit more. Okay, so now looking at a little bit comparing eating out versus eating in. Let's say that you, you know, on Pinterest they have, oh, here's Panera's Copycat mac and cheese, or here's, you know, maybe you order something from a restaurant, you have this really awesome sandwich with, I don't know, bacon and avocado and chicken, and you're like, oh, that's so good, but I can make that at home. If you try to replicate the same exact meal at home than what you did at the restaurant, so we're not even talking generally here, we're saying the same exact meal at home than at the restaurant, what percentage of calories does that slash it by if you would make it at home? What'd you guess? Same exact meal, but you're just making it yourself. Super close, 30%. 30%. And a lot of that, and that's with the same exact meal, which blows my mind, because I'm like, even if we're making something that's still not healthy, but it's the same, you know, chicken, bacon, avocado sandwich that you make at home versus getting it at, you know, Bagels and Joe or whatever, it's going to have a lot fewer calories. And a lot of that is because of the way that we cook it. You know, we don't have deep fat fryers at home. Most people don't, or you don't use it all that generally. We probably won't be cooking everything in butter and all of the fat. And we're also, the portion sizes is a really big part of it. You're not going to serve yourself the same portion as they do in a restaurant. I am a huge Fiestaware fanatic. I just love it. And I have these Fiestaware platters, which, you know, are like this big, which is like what I use to serve like entrees off of when we have people coming in to visit. And we went to, I don't remember what Mexican restaurant it was a couple months ago, and a lot of Mexican restaurants will serve on Fiestaware. And it just like dawned on me that one time when they served it, that they were serving my one meal on the Fiestaware platter. I'm like, no, this is a serving platter. This is not a plate. This is a serving platter. And if you would, you know, give that to guests when they come to your home, you might be giving them like a half or a third of that, because it's a ridiculous amount of portion sizes. And so that's a lot of what goes into this. So now we'll talk a little bit about casual dining. This is totally blown up. This is really what we think about when we think about eating out, is casual dining. So it used to be we had fast food, so places like Burger King and Subway and those types of places. And then we had our sit-down restaurants like Applebee's and Chili's and those types of places. Now, what really has blown up the market is casual dining. So it's kind of like a happy medium in between the two. So places more of like your Panera's, your Chipotle's, your Bagels and Joe, where it's like a more, how should I say this? It's like a nicer atmosphere than a fast food place, but you're still getting your food really fast. And so the entrance of that has really blown up the market, and it's changed the way that fast food places do their food. It changed the way that sit-down restaurants do their food. But this gives some statistics on this. So fast food average 4 to 7 per meal, casual dining 9 to 13 per meal, which is fairly typical to sit down, a little bit cheaper than sit down. But generally a casual dining place is defined as having higher quality of food, better use of ingredients, more wholesome food, perception of freshness. Decor, fair pricing, fast service, friendly employees, flexible offerings, view of food preparation, which is a good big one. You know, you think about like Chipotle and Qdoba, they do it right in front of you, and that's a really big thing as well. So fast food versus casual dining. The answer is already up here, but if you would think of Burger King versus Chipotle, don't look up here for a second. If you had to guess, if you thought, oh, Burger King or Chipotle, which one is healthier? What would you probably think? Chipotle, yeah, that's what most people think. You know, Burger King, that's fast food, that's burgers and french fries. Chipotle, you know, you have these fresh ingredients. And the thing we have to remember about this is that Chipotle can be a lot healthier, and it also cannot be. From a strictly calorie intake, let's see here if we have that on here, yep. So average of 760 for a casual dining place, average of fast food is 561. So you think about Burger King and Chipotle. Chipotle has, you know, your black beans, it has your brown rice, it has all of these good things, but again, what are those serving sizes on there? How much are we loading on? How much sour cream are we putting on? How much extra cheese are we putting on? A lot of things that is why the calorie intake of fast food is less than casual dining is because of the portion sizes, and that's a lot of it. So are there more wholesome ingredients at a place like Chipotle or another casual fast food dining place? Yes. However, is the portion size about twice as big as a fast food place? Yes. And Americans, we have a really hard time limiting ourselves to just what our body needs and not eating everything that's on the huge Fiesta-ware platter. And so that makes it really difficult for us. So, and we'll go into this a little bit more of how to eat healthfully at these types of places, but portion sizes, I want you to like drill that home, like that's what you're taking away from today, is it's so important. Okay, so what would you guess, a chain restaurant versus an independent restaurant? So like a mom and pop restaurant versus a chain, which one do you think would be less bad for you? So I'm not saying which one would be better for you, but which one would be less bad, if you had to guess. It's actually the chain restaurants that has less bad for you. I'm not going to say better, less bad for you. And a lot of that has to do with, I think the main thing is that probably, I don't know, 5 to 7 years ago maybe, there became this big push for chain restaurants to post their nutritional information, which was really eye-opening for the consumers because all of a sudden we realized what really bad food we were eating. So then that made restaurants change the way that they were preparing their food in order to get their numbers down. So chain restaurants have their nutritional information posted. Mom and pop places don't. So they're not, you know, they don't have that transparency that chain restaurants do, so they don't really care. And you also think about a lot of mom and pop places, like they might be cooking things with lard. They might be, you know, doing more of the older style of cooking. But a lot of it is the posting of the nutritional information that really has to do with it. Okay, so speaking about posting calorie information, most people don't know the amount of calories that they need in a day or in a meal. So that means that if you have the calorie information posted, it's not quite as helpful. If you don't actually know what you need, if I tell you that, oh, this meal for breakfast is going to give you, you know, let's say 450 grams of carbs, are you like, oh, that's too many? That's okay, that's a really high number. But if I'm giving you a statistic about something you don't really know what's the lower and upper range on, it really doesn't mean a whole lot to you. So generally, the general population doesn't know those numbers, which means that posting calorie information is really helpful for some, and for some people, it's not. So there was a research study that a Texas group did. They had 300 people, and they had them in 3 different groups. So one group of people ordered from a menu, and they had no idea what the calorie information was, so it just listed what the food was. Okay. The second group, they had the menu listed, but they also had the calorie information listed. And then the third group had their menu listed, and then it listed how many minutes of brisk walking they would have to do in order to burn off those calories in that menu item. Okay, what they found was that only the third group, the one that listed the brisk walking minutes, only that was the group where it changed their behavior to choose a healthier option. Because it was something that they could tangibly see and feel of like, oh, if I eat this burger, I'm gonna have to walk 45 minutes to burn it off. Ooh. But if I eat the sandwich, it's only 20. That's a lot better. I can handle that. And so it just puts it into numbers that they can truly understand. I don't think we're probably going to get restaurants to do this, but it is really interesting to know that if you don't know how many calories you need, it might not be all that helpful. I'm sure this is really surprising. Researchers have found a positive association between eating out and obesity. Surprise, surprise, right? And you know, when you think about this, the restaurant's goal, aside from, you know, maybe some places like Source Eat Fit or those types of things, their goal is not to make you look great. Their goal is not to make you healthier. They are not a gym. Their goal is to get you coming back. And so they're using marketing and advertisements so that their numbers go up. And so do they really care if you eat there, if it, you know, is more unhealthy for you than you realize? No. They want to perceive their food as healthy, because if you think it's healthy, then you're going to keep coming back. Or if you like how the food tastes, you're going to keep coming back. And that's their goal. So thinking about it from their end, what can they do to keep their customers coming back? You know, just remember, they're not a gym. A gym is going to want to help you see your results and get healthier. That's not what restaurants do. And I love this caption, I don't know if you guys can read it, this little cartoon at the end. A mom and two kids eating at McDonald's, and the mom says, pick that lettuce out, you could get salmonella. You know, just the thought, there's like those jokes of, you know, somebody going into McDonald's and ordering a, what do they call it, Big Mac, you know, extra large fries, but a Diet Pepsi. Yeah. You know, give me the Diet Pepsi though. Which just cracks me up. There's all kinds of stories Hannah and I could tell of that type of thing, but we won't get on our soapbox today. Also, this is an interesting note. Healthiness of food that we eat decreases by 1.7 for every hour that passes in the day, which basically means that generally our healthiest meal of the day is breakfast, and then it usually gets worse from there. So usually lunch is a little bit more unhealthy, and supper is even more unhealthy. So we know that it generally goes down a little bit throughout the day. You know, your day is a cycle. I also think of it, you know, in a year, calendar year, normally you're healthier January, February, March, because you have those goals, and anytime you have a new day or a new week, it's like, okay, I can do this. And so it's good to know that generally our healthiness decreases during the day. So to me that says, well, it's really important then that I get a healthy breakfast, because if I don't get a healthy breakfast, and if I know I'm probably going to go downhill from there, because generally we have the mentality of all or none, of like, well, if I already ate a donut for breakfast, today's already gone, so I'm going to eat whatever I want the rest of the day. Not that we need to have that mentality, but normally we do. So that makes it even more important that we get that healthy breakfast in, because then it starts our day off, right? And it helps motivate us to keep going throughout the day. And I love these types of images, they just make me laugh so much. And it says, I've been dieting all morning. Am I skinny yet? Which just makes me laugh. Just had to share that with you. Okay, so we're not going to leave you up there with all the gloom and doom of that eating out is so much more unhealthy for you and that it costs so much more money. We're going to give you some tactics to work on this and improve this, and some ways to eat out healthy. So this is also on your sheet. So plan, plan, plan. You know, I talked about how I was a major menu Nazi, how I'm always looking that up beforehand. That is so key. So key. Figure out how many calories you need daily. Again, that way you know when you're looking at the restaurant menu, if you see that an entree has 900 calories and you only need 1,700 in a day, that means a lot more to you. Look up the menu beforehand, like what we talked about, and become familiar with entree choices. So get to know, you know, oh, this has this cream sauce on here, And I know that from this other restaurant that was a really unhealthy item, so it's probably also a really unhealthy item here, too. Okay, so first we're going to go off some restaurants to be wary of. So I am a big component to be wary of restaurants that consist of only unhealthy items, not necessarily those that have the most unhealthy items. Okay, so let's think about that. Let's get that filled in, and then I'll explain this a little bit more. So I always look to be wary of restaurants that only offer unhealthy items. Okay, so I'm wary of restaurants like Raising Cane's. Okay, what are you going to order at Raising Cane's that's healthy for you? I know it's tasty, but there's zero healthy options on that menu. There is, I mean, gloom and doom when you go in, right?
Yeah.
I know it's really good. I totally get that. You know, the sauce, I get it. But there are zero healthy options. Then you compare Raising Cane's to Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A also has fried chicken, right? Yep, they totally do. So we could think, oh, well, Chick-fil-A is in the same category as Raising Cane's. But it's not, because Raising Cane's also, or because Chick-fil-A also has grilled chicken. They also have salads. They have other options that are healthy. Or, like, let's think about McDonald's. A lot of times McDonald's, we think, oh, McDonald's, like Big Red X, like, it's the most unhealthy place you could ever eat at. Do they have some of the most unhealthy items on their menu? Yes, absolutely, they do. But I'm saying, don't be wary of a place like McDonald's, because they also offer options that are healthy, or at least healthier. They offer, you know, grilled chicken wraps, grilled chicken sandwiches, salads. They offer some healthier options. So what I'm saying is, instead of looking to a restaurant that offers this many options that are unhealthy, and maybe in the spectrum of unhealthy, maybe they're, you know, here-ish, like the bottom third, but they're all right here. Rather, look at a restaurant that has this type of spectrum, even if they have the worst possible. If you Googled, what is the worst possible menu item you could ever order, you know, even if a restaurant has that on their menu, to me, I don't care if on the spectrum they have some choices that are over here and the healthy options, because it gives you the choice. You might still choose to eat something unhealthy. You might go to Chick-fil-A and you still get that fried food, but at least you have the option. And so maybe when you're going out to eat with family, sometimes that can be hard, because you have to get somebody that everybody likes and that type of thing. But if you go to a place that has a good spectrum, then you have the opportunity to choose a healthy option for you. So that's my big piece on here. Go somewhere that gives you the option to make the healthy choice. If you go to a place that doesn't have any healthy choices, then there's no way you're gonna get something healthy. But if you at least have the option, there's a greater chance that you will. And also, like we talked about, to be wary of restaurants that don't offer nutritional information, because then you have no idea what you're eating. You might think it's really healthy, but it's actually not. Talking about marketing and advertisements, a lot of restaurants want to make you think that their food is really healthy. They say the word fresh before their food, and then all of a sudden you think, oh yeah, that's really healthy. There's a lot of fresh foods that aren't healthy, and the portion sizes are really big. So can you think of some restaurants that, kind of with our first bullet point, some ones that maybe really only offer unhealthy options, that really don't have much of a range? Or some types of restaurants? Some bakeries, yeah, right? Like a place like Lamar's, if you go in for breakfast, there's just not, you can get black coffee, right? That's about it. But if you go to a place like Village Inn, are there unhealthy items on Village Inn's menu? Absolutely. Can you pick out some healthy options? Absolutely. Yeah, so thinking like a breakfast place that gives you options. Yep. So I have a list here. So generally pizza places, generally there's not a whole lot of options. If you go to a pizza place, you're going to get pizza. You might have a salad bar, but you're probably still going to eat pizza too. So that makes it kind of difficult. A lot of burger places that are like fast food places, Culver's, Sonic, Hardee's, not a whole lot of options there. Fried chicken places, like what we talked about. if all they offer is fried chicken, then you have really no choice but to order fried chicken. And a lot of home style restaurants, which is my favorite type of place to eat at. I'm from a small town of 2,500 people, so I just want like the mom and pop places. But when you eat it, it's really good, and you know there's a reason why this tastes the way it does, for sure. Okay, so restaurants that fit into healthy lifestyles. So these are the types of restaurants that we want to look for. Again, we're not saying don't ever eat out, we're just saying give yourself some options. So menus that offer healthier options, like we talked about, on that spectrum, if they have some items that are on the healthier side. Restaurants that provide nutritional information, so you have an idea of what you're getting into. You know, there's gonna be times where you look at the nutritional information and you say, you know what? I really need this burger and french fries, and I know how many calories it has, and I'm gonna have it anyways. And you know full well what you're getting yourself into. But when you know that's what you're getting yourself into, and you know that you're doing it, and you intentionally do it, then you're probably going to make healthier choices the next couple days, because you'll say, well, you know, I splurged the other night, so I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to make up for it now. When you don't know about it going into it, then you're probably not going to have that mentality. And I already gave you some examples. So places that let you choose your own ingredients and portions. So Chipotle's Noodles and Company, Subway. Chipotle, we'll talk more about that. Portion sizes is really big, but the thing is that you have the choice. You can decide what you're putting on it and what you're not. You can decide on the portion sizes. You can tell them, oh, just a little bit of this, or not as much of this, and you can decide, so you are in charge. Places that only offer healthy entrees, then you're really setting yourself up for success, because you have no choice but to eat something healthy, like Source, Eat Fit, Go. Have you guys tried any of those places? Yeah, which one or both of them?
Well, I really like the Eat Fit Go.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're just coming out every week with a new
I don't remember which one it was, but we had a health fair a couple weeks ago, and one of them was there, and they had these samples, and they were like pizza bites, but they were made with a cauliflower crust.
Yeah, that's new. They just is it good?
So good, so good. I would absolutely.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah, it was incredible. Have you had them too?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So good.
I think they're at Source, but Eat Fit Go might have them too now. Really good.
Yeah, it was
Super
on their
good.
website, but
Awesome.
their meals are good, and you know you pay between 8 and 10.
Yeah.
But
Pretty on
go
par
through
with.
and grab it and go home.
Right, very convenient.
Yep.
Does Eat Fit Go also have a drive-through?
They do, but only if you call ahead.
Oh, okay.
You can go
Gotcha.
through the drive-thru.
Yeah, Source has a drive-through, which makes it nice and convenient too. Yeah. And then places that offer healthier items, like Panera has healthier items, like Applebee's, you know, they have their menu that says, here's our list of things that have less than 600 calories in them. Or I think like Chili's does that too. There's a lot of restaurants, as Weight Watchers became really big, there's a lot of restaurants that have those types of options, so that people, it just makes it easier for them to eat out. Basically restaurants that let you be informed and let you be in charge. So we're not saying all you can ever eat at is, you know, we're not saying you can only ever eat at Eat Fit Go. We're saying just go to a place that gives you an informed decision. So now we're going to go through some restaurants to give you some tools to go through them. So our eating out survival guide. So Runza. This is probably really tiny and you probably can't see the menu. But if you had to guess on Runza, what do you think would be some things that you might get there that would give you some healthy options? Healthier.
Does Runza have a, I don't know if Runza has it, but most restaurants have like a chicken Caesar salad type
They do have some salads. I don't know if they have chicken Caesar or not.
or something similar.
Yeah, but they have, well, listen here. They have an Asian grilled chicken salad. They have a Southwest chicken salad, which is really good. Grilled chicken obviously is what you want to get, and it comes with ranch and salsa. So opt for the salsa and not the ranch. Okay? Ranch can be a really big detriment. Or if you're a huge ranch fan and you're like, no, Sarah, I have to have my ranch, get that ranch on the side and just dip it as necessary. So 4th pound hamburger, the thing is that it's a lot smaller portion than the other hamburgers. So it gives you, let's say you're really, I love Runza hamburgers, love them, like I said, I'm from Missouri, so when I had a Runza hamburger, I'm like, I have never had one of these before. It blew my world. My husband and I are so weird when we go into restaurants, so we always order like off the kids menu or like the, part of that's because we're cheap, but part of it is because we're like, we don't need like this huge burger, we just need like a little bit. So portion sizes is what really can help, so the kids menu can be really good for that, or the, let's see if they don't have it listed on here, but like their value menus, pretty much all fast food places have value menus, so it's just like a smaller burger or a smaller sandwich or wherever you're at, so usually it might be like half the size, which is actually what you need, and then it also isn't smothered in all of the extra, you know, there's not 4 different types of cheeses on it, there might be 1 type of cheese, so it just gives you a little bit of healthier option. They have grilled chicken sandwiches at Runza, a 2-piece strip, chicken strip, so again it's fried chicken, but it's giving you a smaller portion, so if you're a really big chicken strip fan, we're looking at smaller portion sizes. Kids meals like we talked about, the tortilla soup and salads. Breda, what about this place? What do you think would be some healthier options here? I'll help you out. So Breda, you know, they have their baked sandwiches and they have their deli sandwiches. Okay, so we want to look for the deli sandwiches because usually they're not going to be smothered in quite as much cheese and sauces, and also the baked sandwiches, you know, think about it as like a grilled cheese in a way, where like you have butter and then you're grilling it, so you're adding a lot of extra. So we're looking more for like deli sandwiches at Breda. You know, if you pair like a sandwich with a salad, really great option if you have some type of like grilled chicken or lean meat on it. We just have to be wary of the dressings, of course, which I know is drilled into our heads constantly, but that's what we really have to be careful of with the salads. And then the soups, you want to look for more of a broth-based soup and not a cream-based soup. So I think generally we think soup, yeah, like that's really healthy for you. Some soups are, and what's nice about soup is it's generally like a larger quantity. So when you eat it, it fills up your stomach, which is really nice. But we need to look for more of the broth-based, more of a cream-based. Then we're having like the heavy whipping cream and that type of stuff. You know, so like Breda's baked potato soup, if you've ever had that before. Really good soup, but not in the scale of healthy. You're not really getting any protein. You're just getting lots of cheese and carbs and extra stuff. So things like their chicken tortilla soup, tomato, chicken and wild rice, chicken noodle, clam chowder. What I always look for in a soup is one that offers protein. So I look for a soup that has some sort of lean protein in it, and also one that I can, like, if I put it in my spoon, I can like at least see a little bit of my spoon through it. Okay? So if it's really, really thick and cheesy, you're not going to be able to see your spoon when your soup's on top of it. If you have more of a broth-based soup, you're going to be able to see a little bit of it. So that's what we're looking for there. Chick-fil-A, we talked a little bit about this. What do you guys think here? I know you're obsessed with one of their salads.
Mm-hmm. Their kale salad.
Yeah. So we'll go through these. So they have their grilled chicken sandwiches. Really great option. They have their grilled nuggets. I just got an email, it was probably like 2 weeks ago, that they were giving away free nuggets. I have like a little coupon for it. I just love Chick-fil-A. I love them so much. Their fruit cups, which you can always sub for their fries. They have Greek yogurt parfaits, chicken noodle soup, grilled chicken cool wrap, grilled market salad, spicy Southwest salad, kale salad. They have lots of really good salads. All offer grilled chicken, so a great choice. You know, Chick-fil-A is fun for sure for the kids. I know when we take my nephew there, he just goes crazy. He loves it. So, and then they have the play place, so you can get rid of all of their energy, but you still have healthy options to eat here. And they do list their nutritional information on here. Something with Chick-fil-A always to be careful of, they have all those sauces as well, which nutritional information is not posted for those, which from their end makes a lot of sense because it might make you not eat them quite as much. So just be wary of those. Chipotle, what about here? So if you were putting together, let's say a burrito bowl, what things, if you can see these, what things would you choose, what things would you not choose in your bowl at a place like Chipotle or Qdoba or whatever?
Rice, brown rice.
Choose brown rice. Yep. Black beans. Yep. Add black beans for protein.
Grilled chicken.
Grilled chicken. Yep. Yep. So we'll go through these. So I always suggest start with a bowl or a salad. The thing about Mexican type of places is usually they overload you on carbs, which we'll talk more a little bit about. But you think a Mexican place, normally you start off with chips and salsa, and then let's say you get tacos, which is in a shell, and then you also have rice on the side. That's lots and lots of carbs. So if we start with a bowl or a salad, then we're at least eliminating, not that carbs are bad, but there's no reason to eat 4 or 5 servings of carbs at every meal, right? We're looking for 1 to 2 servings. So start with a bowl or salad. Choose only one meat. We don't want to add up on our, oh, I'll take the beef and the chicken and the pork, please. We really only need one. Chicken's a great option. Either skip or skimp on the rice. I'm not saying don't get rice, but I am saying when I go in, I tell them a little bit of rice, and then they're usually giving me like 1.5 to 2 servings of rice. A serving of rice is actually only half a cup. And so when they put rice on, they're putting like 2 cups of rice on, right? Lots of rice. We really don't need that much. So if you tell them a little bit of rice, then you still get the rice, but you're not getting the huge quantity. So skip a little on the rice. Brown rice is good because it's has more fiber in it. You're more of a complex carbohydrate, so your body breaks it down slower. Black beans, definitely add those. They add great protein, great flavor. They're low in fat. Really, really, really good option. Definitely add those black beans on. Load up with veggies. I always, I'll add I forget what they're called, but the like sauteed type of veggies, and then any type of veggies I can add, I always add to any type of meal. And this is whether it's at Chipotle or at home or whatever, anytime that you can add veggies, it lowers the caloric bite that you take. So for example, let's say you have pasta, let's just say a pasta sauce, and let's say you have a cup of pasta sauce, and you say you're going to put that cup of pasta sauce on your spaghetti, just to make it really simple. If you take that, so that's one option, cup of pasta sauce on your spaghetti noodles, okay? If you take that cup of pasta sauce, and then you also add some pureed, whatever, if you add some mushrooms, if you add some green peppers, if you add some carrots, if you shred those up, whatever, mix it together, add all of that up, all of a sudden you have a 1.5 cups worth of pasta sauce. Then if you put 1 cup of that, like you did before, on your spaghetti, the second plate is going to have fewer calories because you fluffed up the volume with those vegetables, which have less calories than your other food, which is same like this. So if you load up with lots of veggies, and let's say, not that you're going to, but if you were to measure out 2 cups worth of Chipotle, and you were going to eat 2 cups worth, regardless of however you mixed it up. If you made 1 bowl that had no veggies on it, and then 1 bowl that had lots of veggies on it, and you still ate the same quantity of food, so still ate 2 cups worth of it, your total caloric intake and your total fat, all of that, sodium, cholesterol, it's going to be a lot lower on that with the veggie because each bite has fewer calories. But it's still just as satisfying because quantity-wise, you're eating the same amount of food. Does that make sense? Or you could think of it as like let's say, you could also think of it as like Kool-Aid. If you take, just for a visual example, you take a packet of Kool-Aid and mix it with 2 cups of water, and then you pour yourself a cup. Or if you take a packet of Kool-Aid and mix it with 4 cups of water, and then pour yourself a cup. Obviously, the second one you're going to have fewer calories with it because not that you're diluting it, well, in Kool-Aid you are, but just to give you an example, that's kind of like with veggies. So I always add in as much as possible. When you're having sandwiches, add as many veggies as possible because it's going to fill you up, and then maybe you only need 3/4 of the sandwich, or maybe you still eat the whole sandwich, but you're not having potato salad on the side because your sandwich is more filling. So I always encourage to add up those veggies. It also increases your fiber intake, which is really great. But from a, just thinking of a practicality standpoint and logically, if you can trick yourself into eating the same quantity, but you're eating healthier foods and lower calories, lower fats, it's a win. Add up any salsa but the corn. Skip your condiments. There's lots of flavors going on. I really don't think you need all the extra sour cream that they add in. Or if you do, if you're like a huge sour cream fan, ask for a little bit on the side and add as you go. We talk about guacamole. I get those questions all the time. Avocados are great because they have healthy fats for you. However, the recommendation is only to have no more than 1/4 of an avocado on a day. And if you were to mix up guacamole from 1/4 of an avocado, that's probably 3 scoops worth on a tortilla chip, right? So we just have to keep portion sizes in mind here. Amigos. I never eat Amigos, but what do you guys think about Amigos? Do you have options here, or is it just gluten new?
We have salads.
Yep. So they have these fit bowls, which they have, so some good options there. Just a plain cheeseburger, not saying it's a great option, but if you're at Amigos, it's a healthier option. They have grilled chicken and rice burritos. They have a skinny pinto burrito. Their chicken soft tacos, definitely a good option. And then the salads, like you mentioned, Fiesta like chicken. So always looking for that grilled chicken, Southwest chicken salad with grilled chicken. So just some other ones to go through. McDonald's, we already talked a little bit about them, but kind of similar to what we talked about with Runza, just going for a smaller hamburger, ordering off that side menu, their snack wraps, and their different salads. They have parfaits too, healthier option. Okay, so other places, we're getting close on time, so I'm just going to go through these. Let's say you're at a cafe. What are your options? Let's say Bagels and Joe, a place like that. You don't know their nutritional information, what should you do? I suggest pairing half a sandwich with a soup or a salad to get you through. Again, keeping everything in mind, deli sandwiches, salads minus the dressing, soups that are brothy. Mexican place, we talked a little bit about this too, but load up on veggies. Try to choose one carb. So we don't really want to have